Thanks everybody for coming. It's rather a special occasion, this. We're going to be celebrating the unveiling of a plaque in this house where a local hero, Thomas Jones, lived. I'm really glad to see so many people have come over from his original place of living, Chemist Bay. Fantastic that you're all here. And we'll be asking in a moment our Deputy Mayor, by Gladden, and Councillor Roberts, Deputy Mayor from Anglesey, I believe, to jointly unveil the plaque for us. Afterwards, we're going to be going on to the obvious place to go, the local pub, the Anglesey, where Titanic Tom used to drink. It's great to have several people here who I think it's worth mentioning. David, who owns a house, who actually triggered this with us. I'm also pleased to see Ray Bell here, who went to sea with Tom Titanic and was a friend and neighbour of his. So without saying any more, I'm going to ask Eric to say a few words about the history of Tom, and then ask the two deputy mayors to put on the plaque. So, Eric, can you start and say a few words?
Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, can I thank the City of Liverpool for putting us on this great show for us. All this started when I was asked by the Community Council, the chairman's here, I was asked for them to research the life of Thomas Jones, Tom Titanic. Now then, he was born in Chemist Bay, first of all. He was born in Chemist Bay, and then he was one of, he had a brother and 3 sisters. Now then, he went to sea when he was just about 16 and joined the Royal Navy. At 21, he joined the White Star Line, and his life was spent on the Atlantic crossing, the Atlantic run, like they used to call it, just from Southampton, or from Liverpool, sorry, to New York, and backwards and forwards he did this. And as a member of the White Star Line, he moved on to, he was at 83 Nesfield Street, that I think, I don't remember the exact number, but he was at Nesfield Street at the time when he joined. He had spent time in a workhouse. I've got his birth certificate and things like that. However, what happened was they go off the radar. The family goes off the radar. Just a few of his brothers and sisters, but actually he goes off the radar. The next we hear of him, he was in a workhouse. And from there, he had a girlfriend there. He was going to marry her and everything. He found that she was in debt. So he decided to make Liverpool. Off he went and joined the Navy, the Royal Navy, at 16. However, at 21, like I say, he joined the White Star Line. He was down in Southampton when the Titanic arrived. So a mate of his said, we'll go and see the Titanic. His ship was laid up. So he went over to the Titanic, and there was an officer he knew on the Titanic, and this officer said, you're part of the crew, join us. So he did, and he went off on the Titanic. Now the story on the other side is that when the shipping list of people on board. There was the Countess of Roth in Scotland. She was of independent means. Her cousin accompanied her, and this lady also had a maid. So the three of them were on board. When the Titanic was reputed she'll never sink, she's unsinkable. Everything had been made for it to sink, not to sink. So people were very reluctant. When she started going down, they were reluctant to join the lifeboats. So the captain says, Thomas Jones, you're in charge of lifeboat number 8, ladies. There was only 28 joined the boat. He asked 3 times afterwards before I cast off, he says, any more? We all refused. Nobody came. All right, cast off. Can you see the light on the horizon, he says? And he says, yes, now make for that. That's the Carpathia. Make for that light. Anyway, the ship had moved probably and all that. But when he went on the lifeboat, down to sea level, he couldn't see the light. However, they start throwing back rough directions. More that way. When they'd gone a bit of distance from the ship, they could see her going down. And she went down, he says, like, and people jumping off the decks and stuff like that into the water. Terrible. So he turned around and he says to everybody, there's only 28 ladies on that boat, 2 stewards, and they were useless. They couldn't, their hands were all soft. So he says, right. He saw this countess, and she was from a family, yachting and all that, the hierarchy, that's how they were. So he says, you take the tiller, and I'll do the rowing. So, okay. Can you all hear me now?
Yeah.
Now then, so what he says was, rightly, we'll all turn around and go back to see if we can get more people in the boat. There was only 28, like I say, and the lifeboat held 64. There was only the 3 ladies, an American lady, and Tom. 5 out of the 28 wanted to go back. The remainder said, no, we're not going back, in case we get thrown in with a suction wave and we'll drown with them. So he says, right, he's remembered for those famous words, ladies, if ever any of us get saved out of this lot, I wanted to be put on record. I wanted to go back. And I'll tell you, he says, that I would rather drown with them than leave them. And that, after that, the Countess gave us some of the watch. When we go to the other place, I'll show you some of the pictures. So she gave us a silver fob watch, and he gave her the number 8 off the lifeboat. He pinched them off the lifeboat, I believe. But anyway, he gave her a silver fob watch. They never met after this, but they kept in touch, and she used to send him a guinea every year to his house where he lived after the Titanic. I don't know, I've been trying to work out, maybe he was penniless when he came off the Titanic. Maybe, I said, that the Countess's father bought this house from him. But that story I've got to clarify. But there is something in the, there's a hint that the father bought the house for him. Anyway, when the Countess died, Tom died, she died in 1956, Tom died in 1980. However, the daughter still lived here, but she hit hard times and sold the watch. And then in 2002, his just after 100 years. The great-granddaughter of the Countess came up to his house and met Tom's daughter. And she said, here's the watch, you can have a look at it. The family bought it back, and they gave £22,000 for that. But she didn't give her the watch, of course, and all the letters which they travelled, between them. However, that is the gist of the story. Anyway, I got in touch with Paul here. Is it Paul that lives here? No, David, sorry. I'm mixing with my other reference in Liverpool. So, anyway, David, I just wrote a letter to the occupant of Jacob Street, 84 Jacob Street. He replied straight away. I was most interested. I told him what we want. He came here and I said, what we want is to put a plaque outside the house. But I work for the council myself, so I tell you, in Anglesey, you've got to have permission of the local authority. You've got to get in touch with the local authority in Liverpool for that area or whatever and ask them. Anyway, what transpired is what we got today. Liverpool's reaction have been fantastic, and I applaud Paul Scarth, who's done all this work between him and me. He deserves a rise in his wages. Anyway, that is the story. So, I think I've said enough.
Can I ask our two unveilers to help us unveil the...
Go to our pitch first.
You're going to do your pitches first, are you?
No, please.
Don't say I'll be brief, Roy, or we'll all die.
I'm a northern politician, not a southern one. I'm brief. Anyway, good afternoon, everybody. The Lord Mayor regrets not being available this afternoon, but basically because of her previous engagement, but she does send their best wishes to everybody today, especially to our colleagues from Wales. I, like David, am the first sub, so at least it's working out very well for both of us in that way. Can I welcome the Deputy Mayor of Anglesey to Liverpool, and I hope you enjoyed your short tour this morning. We are here today to honour a son of both Anglesey and Liverpool with the unveiling of this plaque. This plaque recognises the historical significance of the unselfish and brave act of Thomas William Jones. And so we'll have no comments later about Tom Jones, okay? So let's get us off the way.
This is so.
Yes. Who in the best traditions of both the merchant and the Royal Navy put the safety and lives of others before his own. Before I invite the Deputy Mayor to join me to unveil the plaque and to say a few words, can I thank Eric Tor for the really good sponsor, who's, without his research, this would not have been happening. Can I also thank Dave Stobie, who has given his house and everything else to us today, so thank you, David. I'd also take this opportunity to thank the three ward councillors, Steve Mumby, Sarah Doyle and Hetty Wood, and our neighbourhood officers, Paul Scarth and Kenny Brew, because as has already been said, without them, this would not have happened, so thank you, colleagues. I would say, without your commitment, we would not be here today commemorating the actions of what was, people consider, an ordinary man, but who carried out extraordinary and unselfish acts. So thank you all for making this happen. Now, can I invite the Deputy Mayor of Anglesey, not only to join me in unveiling the plaque, but to just say a few words from across the Great Waters. Thank you, David.
Good afternoon, and on behalf of Anglesey County Council and the residents of Anglesey, I'd like to thank Liverpool City for respect that you've shown one of Anglesey's son. Obviously, he was an adopted son of Liverpool eventually, but he started off in Cemmaes, and hopefully Anglesey had a good effect on his character, which, when the time came, he was able to react as we hope we all would under the circumstances. But it's been, we've had a wonderful day here in Liverpool. The welcome's been excellent, and I hope that people, when they stop and see the plaque, they'll think and remember of an everyday hero, and there's an everyday hero in every one of us, I think. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We have to now hope this doesn't leak when we pull it.
Get a sack if it does pull.
Okay. Can we go there? That doesn't work. Hang on, pick it up.
I'll just pick it. You take it up once you've opened it.
There we
Open
go.
it right across and then.
You right?
Yeah, I've hooked onto that thing.
There we go. Councillor Alec Morris, who's just going to respond on behalf of Anglesey. I think it was the ward in which
Turkelin Ward.
Turkelin, which he was born in. Do you want to use the microphone?
Thank you. Deputy Chair of Anglesey County Council and the Chair of Llanbadrig Community Council, which Cemmaes is an integral part of. I think you've all heard the term A Night to Remember. That was a film that portrayed the tragic events of the 15th of April 1912. Well, I hope you remember what happens here today as we remember Titanic, as we call him in Welsh, Thomas William Jones, an able seaman who did his duty and saved people on that tragic night. It's lovely that we're here in Liverpool, because Liverpool is the capital of North Wales. That's what most of us feel passionately. It is also a great port, as we well know. I was reminded of that recently because in the 30s, a certain Joseph Townsend was made unemployed as a painter. He looked for work on the docks, caught pneumonia and died. 52 years later, an Anglesey girl came back here to be buried with him, his wife, Anne Townsend. They happen to have been my grandparents. So my link to Liverpool is very, very close. But today, we remember the events of that fateful night. And can I again say thank you to the City of Liverpool, to the owners of this property, for making all this happen. But equally, can I thank the Cemmaes History Group that have instigated this. Eric has taken the lead, but he's been assisted by Derek, Caris and Elfed. Mae'n diolch I ni, gyda ni gyd I chi, yn enfawr. Our thanks to you. We can't sum up in words that you've managed to do this, to remember Tom Titanic. As you know, he was in charge of Lifeboat number 8, and he came to know a certain Lucy Noel Martha, the Countess Rothes, and he saved those people. But that night, over 1,500 people perished in the North Atlantic because it was so cold. That was the night that the signal SOS was first used, save our souls. Sadly, they could not save many of those souls, but the board of inquiry that followed ensured that every British merchant ship would have enough lifeboats, which sadly the Titanic didn't. Let us remember what this individual did in saving those lives. Thomas William Jones, for valour he did it. And I think we should never, ever forget that terrible night. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you very much.